The king has returned. It's fine. We're always sitting here twiddling our thumbs first few weeks of free agency. We don't do anything. What? 1 week into it, bang!
He was about as much use as a fishnet condom. Do you know he played 1,006 snaps last year? That's ridiculous.
You know, Blitz, the Seahawks, will be playing as nose tackle for the Seahawks next season. So we've got to find some people to fill the pads. But ladies and gentlemen, Seahawks and football fans everywhere, a very warm welcome back to the We Talk Seahawks podcast. I hope you're all doing well. The sun is shining. The equinox has started. The can of not to be individually sold Smirnoff Ice is in my hand, and all is good in the world pretty much because the king has returned. Bobby Wagner is back. We've been manifesting it all off season. As soon as the rumours started swirling that Bobby was going to be cut, and then he was cut, you know, it just made too much sense. That's been the quote all along from every Seahawks fan. It makes too much sense, and the sense has been proven to be correct because Bobby Wagner is back in the Pacific Northwest. So, of course, we're going to jump on and talk about that tonight, as well as the rest of our free agent signings, because the first wave, as we like to call it, of free agency is pretty much wrapped up now. Most of the top guys are off the board. Still some good guys on the board, but most of the top names are gone. And the Seahawks have made one or two a little bit of uncharacteristic splashes in and amongst those signings as well. So we've got some juicy stuff to look forward to tonight, and I can't wait to get into it. And the one big night of the year so far, Pez has let us down because his missus is hungover on the sofa watching John Wick or something. Honestly,
that's tomorrow, isn't it? It's tomorrow.
Oh, is that
Tuesday
tomorrow?
He's doing that. Yeah.
There's about 7 John Wicks, isn't there? So he might be working his way through. I don't know.
Is it one a night? He's done.
Yeah. Well, you should know. You're kind. I know he's not a superhero, but he's in that realm, isn't he?
Yeah, he's. I don't mind a bit of John Wick. It's all right. I think it's just one of those like, oh, he goes mental because somebody killed his dog, and then I sort of tailed off watching the other ones. I was just like, yeah, cool action.
I was gonna say, like, every John Wick trailer I've ever seen, it's just psychopathic man is out on the streets killing people. How many John Wicks can they make?
I still find it really odd. Like, I'm going to show my age now because every time I look at Keanu Reeves, all I can think is Bill and Ted. So I'm like, Bill and Ted is going around killing people. I don't know if it's Bill or Ted. It's Ted Theodore Logan. My God, why do I remember that stuff?
I'm nodding in agreement because I don't know Bill and Ted. I thought you were going to say Bill and Ben the Boatman. I don't know Bill and
No, never mind. Let's just get on with the pod. Let's get on with Yeah, good, mate. Just had a lovely roast around the in-laws and got home and put my daughter to bed. And here we are now. Excited to discuss the fact that we've actually done stuff in the first wave of free agency and not just like little, oh, this guy's at the end of his career, he'll pad out the roster stuff. Yeah. These are big moves, and the ramifications of some of the moves will be very interesting this year.
It certainly will be. And there's only one place to start, so let's get into it. Bobby Wagner, of course, as we preluded, is back in the Pacific Northwest. Spent 1 year away from us, just finding his
vacation, mate.
Yeah, vacation. We'd broken up. We'd gone our separate ways. We needed a bit of space to air things out, and we've come back together. We couldn't. It's like two lovers who just can't be apart. They just can't force
soulmates, mate. That's what it is.
Soulmates, absolute soulmates. And I tell you what, he didn't do too bad in 2020. Although the Rams did, he certainly didn't. 140 combined tackles, 6 sacks, 2 interceptions as well, a bunch of QB hits in there, about 10 QB hits as well. This guy, look, I know he's 32. Like, the guy, don't buy into anyone saying that, oh, he's over the hill, he's washed, whatever. This isn't a... Look. Yes, it might not be the 2018, 17, 16, 15, but I tell you what, he was an All-Pro last season, wasn't he? I'm not
sure. Yeah.
I think he was second team All-Pro last season. I think. So I mean, come on, and it's an upgrade on Cody Piston Barton and Nick Ballore at linebacker, isn't it? I mean,
that's what we were looking at. We were looking at Ballore starting. Yeah, linebacker, and I'm not going to lie, my bum was twitching at that thought. I thought, oh God, no. because he's very much that. He was a linebacker, then transferred into a fullback, transitioned into a fullback. Then they go, oh, actually, he can play linebacker, and you're thinking, the guy's he's great, he's hilarious, he's a great team man, but I'm not sure I want to see him start in an NFL game at linebacker.
No.
Rotating in, absolutely fine. But now you've got Bobby. Bobby's just going to play in the middle at the start with one of our other free agent linebackers, unless we draft someone.
Yeah, it's just all of a sudden we ended the season sort of thinking what a crap linebacker group we've got, and now heading into this sort of draft run up, now we've got Bobby back. Obviously, Jordan Brooks will come back mid-season. Mm-hmm. Obviously, this is a guy we'll talk about further into the pod, but Devin Bush is in that mix now as well, which the name a lot, he's a first-round pick. It's a big name. Still only 24 years old. Devin Bush will come on to him. But all of a sudden, that linebacker group has just been breathed new life again. And I tell you, they're building a serious defense on Pitt. I'm so happy. I'm so happy. I can't even get my words out properly. 1 year, $7 million. I haven't even said the details of the deal yet. I'm not happy. 1 year, $7 million, cheap as chips. It's kind of in that sort of. I think he's a little bit cheaper than Levante David, sort of in that same kind of region. These linebackers, certainly these older linebackers, there hasn't really been a market for them this off season. So to get Bobby back at 1 year, $7 million, are you slightly surprised it's only 1 year?
No, because we've said this, so anyone that's in our Discord will know I've been taking linebackers at least 2 in pretty much every single mock draft I've done, because we need to get younger there. We need to have more of a rotation. I think it's 1 year. He's going to come in, and when we do draft linebackers, we've got Bobby Wagner there to help bring them up to speed, as well as Jordan Brooks. Now we've got a bit of depth at linebacker. They can bring him back slowly and make sure he's fully recovered. Mm-hmm. The 1 year, I said this like a few pods ago. I think he's going to retire very, very soon. He's got his finger in so many pies. He does work in sort of the community. He's got all of his financial stuff. He does a lot with Silicon Valley and all that other stuff. I'm just going to say stuff because I have no idea. It got straight over my head. I work in insurance. That's it. But yeah, he's 1 year. I'm more than happy with that. He lives in Seattle. He's come back. It's kind of a hometown discount, $7 million when you think about the money that he could be commanding. Over the moon. Absolutely over the moon. See 54 back on the field. Brilliant.
Oh, can't wait. And for me, the Bobby Wagner aside, the name aside, in terms of the actual football player, it ticks 2 massive boxes for me, because we all know how bad our run defense was last season. It was really our Achilles heel on defense. Mm-hmm. All of a sudden, yes, there might be question marks maybe over Bobby Wagner's ability to cover in pass coverage. That was always his kind of weeks, but nobody ever minded. He's not a bad coverage linebacker. That's just because how good Bobby is, how much he excels at everything else. The one part of his game where he doesn't excel as much, people thought, oh, well, that's his weakness. He's still not a bad coverage linebacker. Let's not get that wrong. But his run defense, he's one of the best run stopping linebackers of all time. Not just for the sake of all time. There's not many linebackers that have stopped the run better than Bobby Wagner. And then 2, just the leadership for me, the leadership quality that Bobby Wagner brings to this team and this franchise. He just commands so much respect in that locker room. And again, we're going to come on to it a bit more, but with someone like a Devin Bush who needs a change of scenery, maybe needs someone like Bobby Wagner to play next to, he's not just going to elevate his play, and because I think we will get an even better version of Bobby Wagner than we did with the Rams, because he's back in Seattle. He's going to want to take
his swan song as well. If this is last season.
Song, he's going to want to take his game up to another notch coming back to Seattle. He's not here to mess around. He just brings so much. It feels so right. It feels so good. And again, it's just a really nice hedge insurance policy going into the draft. The pressure's off with a linebacker spot now, because before this, everyone was like, well, come on, we've got to take Trenton Simpson. We've got to take this guy. Could it be Ivan Pace? Blah, 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 blah. You can just take whoever's there now. If we get to the 3rd, 4th round and there's still a decent little, linebacker prospect, there's an Owen Papo or an Ivan Pace or whoever, yeah, we can pick him up. But there's no pressure. There's no need. There's not, we're not going to need to overdraft or rush into a linebacker prospect. We can just take our time at that position now going forward. It's just it makes too much sense.
I think it's been addressed on a lot of different podcasts as well. I think Pete and John have done an absolute, they've had an absolute worldie with this free agent class. We'll go through all of them, but they've filled so many areas of need, which now means that when we go into the draft, they don't have to start desperately clambering for a certain player because they need him to fill out the roster and they need him in an essential position, because we've brought people in free agency that play those positions of need. So now we can literally go and we can have someone who is just a project, which is such a great position to be in, because you think, what, Drew Lock's on a 1-year deal, Draymond Jones is 3 years, isn't he? Yes. 3 years. And then Bobby Wagner's 1 year. You know, we've got a few of them on 1-year deals, but it just means that we can have them for a year. We can take these draft prospects and really coach them up to how we want to play, and then we're laughing for the next few years. Never going to pick at 5 again.
No, and like we said, it's just that all options are on the table now. There's no pressure, and oh man, how good is it going to be? Whoever we play in week 1. How good is it going to be to see Bobby Wagner coming back out that tunnel again, back on that defense, wearing 54 in the middle of that Seahawks defense? I mean, it's just, and like I said, when Jordan Brooks comes back as well, and it's just putting him back next to him, brilliant. It's the redemption arc has come full circle. I love it. I've
got a question. Do you think Bobby's going to get a C back on his chest? Because do you reckon? So we'll have him and Quandre as defensive captains. If we sign back Al Woods, because they've said the door isn't closed on that, he was also defensive captain, so that'd be 3. I'd love to see him with a captain, another C on his chest. I think he deserves it. He's, in my opinion, is a lifelong Seahawk captain. I think it's going to be a really weird dynamic then. But Quandre absolutely loves him. So if Bobby starts talking, Quandre, I think, will just be his little hype man in the background going, yeah, what Bobby said, yeah.
Yeah. No, I think you have to. You can't bring Bobby back and not put a C on that chest. Surely that would just feel so wrong. Bobby Wagner, you can't put a C. You can't not put a C on his chest. I'm sorry. No, like I said, Prez will probably say, no, my guy Jordan Brooks, he's got to have the C on his chest. No, it's
not a chance.
It's Bobby.
No, that's a few years down the line, that I think.
Yeah. But no, absolutely ecstatic. And to be fair, I'm absolutely ecstatic with our next free agent signing, because let's get on to the rest of them. Draymond Jones, really, really interesting one. Big splash. Everyone was going, I think we even on this podcast said, don't start, worrying a day or two into free agency. We haven't signed anyone. It's fine. We're always sitting here twiddling our thumbs first few weeks of free agency. We don't do anything. What? 1 week into it, bang! 3 years, $51 million. Draymond Jones, and brilliant. And it's not just a big signing for the sake of making a big splash. Again, I think it's a really decent contract when you look at it. Yes, it's 3 years, $51 million, which is a lot of money. But only 30 million of that is guaranteed. 23 million of that was guaranteed at signing. He's only taken a 10 million cap hit this year. Again, you've seen it with the Geno deal of how they potentially sort of worked a really smart out in the contract after 1 year by front loading the deals. Again, tip my hat to John Schneider and Pete Carroll, because the way they've negotiated these deals so far is excellent. So we can get out of this deal after 1 year for only $23 million of his contract. So it's, and I don't think we will, because I think Draymond Jones is a young player who's still ascending and is going to get better.
26, isn't he?
26. And look, the guy's had what? He had 6.5 sacks in 2020, 5.5 sacks in 2021, 6.5 sacks in 2022. And that was without playing practically a full season ever. That's only the slight knock on Draymond Jones. He's never been able to put a full season together. But now you're on a full season. That's 13 games in 2022, 16 in 2021, 13 again in 2020, and 14 in 2019. But look, he's so versatile. You can play him as an edge rusher. To put it to the easy comparison for me, and I'm not trying to just make it as a lazy comparison, is Uchenna Nwosu. We signed Uchenna Nwosu as a guy that we knew we were moving to this 3-4 system, but Uchenna can play on the edge. He can play as an outside linebacker. Draymond Jones is exactly the same. He's lined up on the edge for the Broncos in this same sort of 3-4 Vic Fangio defense. He's lined up exactly the same. He can play all across the defensive line. He can play as a linebacker. So again, he's just a really nice hedge signing, and not just a hedge signing, but a really nice guy who's so versatile, real Swiss Army knife. And I think personally, they've looked at that Nwosu signing and gone, bloody hell, that worked. Yeah. Can we find someone else like him?
Lo and behold,
Draymond Jones is on the market. Exactly the same kind of player. Yeah, we'll have him. And I think that's what they've done, and it makes, again, too much sense.
It's going to be an absolute nightmare providing that they can all play at the top of their game, an absolute nightmare for opposing O-lines, because you've now got Nwosu coming off the edge. If you have Draymond Jones playing a sort of defensive end, if you will, in that three-man front, we'll have whoever's going to be playing at nose, and then Jaron Reed as well. He's going to be in there. And then across from Jaron Reed, you've either got Boye Mafe, who is absolutely lightning, or you've got Darryl Taylor. And Darryl Taylor, when he's on his day, is absolutely brilliant. It's pick your poison. Who's going to try to get to my QB first? And it could be any one of them.
Mm.
I'm hesitant to say how we're going to do against the run, but I'm hoping that the addition of Bobby, plus a few other pieces that we've added, may help that.
That's what I mean. Like, just when you were reading off those names there, and all I'm thinking to myself is, right, we've already got all those names: Darryl Taylor, Jaron Reed, Nwosu, this guy now, Bobby Wagner. Then what about, there's every chance we could pick up a Will Anderson in the draft. All this talk about Jalen Carter as well, that you can't deny the football player when he's on the field is explosive. So, again, this defense, and there's even more free agents that we've got to come to on the defensive side of the ball that are going to make an impact as well. And then you think about, I guess we'll get onto it as well in maybe even in this podcast and in future podcasts as well. But, Jamal Adams potentially as well, still being on the field for the Seahawks next season. Will he come back? Will he play properly? Where will he play? But there's so many big, proven, good names on that defense now that it's scary. It's really scary.
It's amazing. Like, this is where, obviously, we've had our frustrations with Pete Carroll and to an extent John Schneider. But you look at the team that they've started to build now. Last season, the draft just kicked it all off for me. You look at the players that we got in that draft and how they contributed to the team straight away. Whereas this year, we've now gone out and signed some good free agents to really bolster our ranks. And then we've got all this draft capital as well. We're probably, I personally think we're going to trade back and recoup some more picks in the second round. But if we do that, the players in that second round that could do a job for us is fantastic. And then we just build around the free agents and the team we've already got. Like PC and JS, as we keep calling them, have just positioned us so well going into this draft that now they can go and take these selfies with quarterbacks. You can put pictures out of Pete googly eyeing like Will Anderson, because anyone looking at us is going to go, are they taking a quarterback? Are they going to go for a defensive end? Are they going to go and surprise us? But what's going to happen? And I said it on the Discord. It is shithousery from the Seahawks that I absolutely live for, because it is a matter of, you're going to have other teams going, do we offer them loads to trade up so we can get that player that we really want? But they might want him or might not want him. And I think they've played this an absolute blinder. It's been brilliant.
We as normally going into the draft, we as fans have a good inkling of what our own team is going to do. I haven't got a clue what the Seahawks are going to do in this draft. None of us do, and that's why it's so good.
On Discord are so wild. I mean, we're doing the big board at the moment. Big shout out to Rigger. Thank you very much for organising that.
Cheers, mate.
And it's just the mock drafts that are coming out. People are. There are certain players on there. There's always one player on mine who you'll see. I start a draft regardless, but everyone's got a different view. We start sort of following into a bit of a line at one point, but then everyone thinks different players at different positions, and what we should do is John Michael Schmitz at 20. Do we get in the second round? And nobody knows. To this point, I don't think the Seahawks know. I think they're literally going to get to like a week before the draft and go, right, boys, should we do a big board and see who we really want? And then they'll be like, yeah, okay, we'll just play it by ear, see best player available. And then, like, I think Pez said it, it was like, watch us take someone like Bijan Robinson at 20. And then we've got a running back room of Ken Walker and Bijan. And that's league winning running backs, that is 100%. But yeah, it's just exciting. I mean, you look at the other ones. I mean, we were just talking about, I'll let you go on to the next ones, but I think one of them especially is throwing a bit of a spanner in the works for a certain other player.
Well, let's go on to him then. Julian Love is. I'm presuming it wasn't Jaron Reed, so I'll go with Julian Love first. Yeah, the sort of second, not as big a splash as Draymond Jones, but 2 years, $12 million. Again, only young, 24-year-old lad, I think, playing really good football by all accounts from the Giants. I'm not going to sit here and say, yeah, I've watched a lot of you. I haven't, but from the response.
25.
Is he 25? My apologies.
Well old.
We've got to be correct. The response from Giants fans that I've seen and on YouTube and stuff like that, a lot of Giants fans are very unhappy that this guy wasn't re-signed and has been let go. They think he's an ascending player again with a lot of ability and a lot of future ability. And the Seahawks look like they've potentially got a really nice little steal here, 2 years, 12 million. Again, a nicely worked contract so that there's not too much guaranteed money. Only 5.98 million of this contract is totally guaranteed. And the same amount was guaranteed at signing. So he's going to take a 3.9 million cap hit this year, Julian. That's it, 3.9 million. It's nothing. It's absolutely next to nothing.
It's a masterstroke, isn't it?
It's brilliant.
It's fair play. Certain other podcasters say that the cap is magic. And it genuinely is. That you can fiddle the books. It's pointless having one in.
Yeah.
You can fiddle it so many ways, and the Seahawks have done it brilliantly, especially with this Julian Love. Like I've been watching videos of his play last year. Do you know he played 1,006 snaps last year? That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
I mean, it just his tackles, 116 tackles in total, 74 solo and 42 assisted. He got a sack, a forced fumble, and 2 interceptions. Now, tell me that is not a younger copy of Jamal Adams. Obviously, the sack numbers aren't there yet, but this is what's going to throw a spanner in the work for him, because we're going to be playing a 3 safety look. I think that's something that everyone's sort of consigned to now. That's going to be the predominant package for us. And then you've got Quandre, Jamal, if he comes in, I still think he's going to be a will linebacker. And then you've got Julian Love. So you just play Jamal as close to the line as possible and have him as, Mr. Pass Rush. And then you have Love and Quandre marching in the back.
And we haven't even talked about Ryan Neal.
Oh, no, we're talking about Ryan Neal. Yeah.
I mean, there's just so many options. And like you've just said, running through about Jamal Adams and how I've said, that the Giants fans were surprised to see him go. I've literally just gone on Google just to Google his name. First article that's come up, Giants Wire, 7 hours ago, shout out. Julian Love named Giants' biggest off-season loss this season. And then a little quote in here, so I thought I'll read it out to you because, again, it provides some good context on just how versatile and good this guy is. So Julian Love earned a career-high 71.5 coverage grade in 2022. He lined up all over the formation with 271 snaps in the box, 154 in the slot, 494 at free safety. He's being described here as a Swiss Army knife on the back end who rarely misses a tackle. Among 43 safeties with at least 150 tackles over the past 3 seasons. Love's 13 missed tackles, get this, Josh, Love's 13 missed tackles are the second fewest in the league of all those safeties.
Oh, there is a God.
There is a God. What we've been crying out for as Seahawks fans, and as well as on this podcast, missed tackles, pulling all the hairs out of our head. And the Seahawks, again, it looks like they've gone away, done a little bit of soul searching, done a bit of need searching, found a guy who doesn't miss tackles. Brilliant. Just brilliant.
It's exactly what we needed, what we wanted. I mean, just someone who doesn't miss tackles, who's going to be there to make the impact, who's going to steady the ship back there. I mean, we don't know what's going to happen next year. I don't know what the cap hit would be or dead money if we got rid of Jamal, because I love Jamal Adams. I think he's a great player when he's fit, but I haven't actually seen him on the field for I can't remember. Was it first game? Then he
First
went
game
against Broncos, got injured.
Broncos got injured.
Like, great. You're taking up so much of our cap space, and yet you're not even on the field, mate.
I think it's purely a case of, we always hear from Pete and John how much they love Jamal and how much the players and how much he's valued to the locker room. But I get the sense, and now especially with this Julian Love signing, that they just can't trust him.
Patience is wearing thin. It's got to be.
You just can't trust him. As much as you love the guy, as much as we think he's an electric player when he is on the field, if you play him at linebacker, I think they'd love to have him back, but can they trust him? Put business over your heart. Can we trust him out? No, we can't. No. So,
and then it's that I've said it before. The best ability is availability.
Yeah,
and he is just never available. It's always something. He did his fingers, and this was his what was it? A torn quad.
Yeah,
this one or something. And I'm waiting to see the next injury, because I mean, fair play, he plays hard, and that's where a lot of the injuries come from. But I can't bring myself to root for a man constantly when all I see from him is things on his Twitter, or his Instagram. It's so difficult. You want to root for a player on your team who you watch play weekly, and he's just not that guy.
No, he's been a good cheerleader since from his sofa, hasn't he? But like you say, we all love to see him on the field, and we can't trust him at this moment in time. So that again, this signing points to the fact that the Seahawks are taking that same view as well. But they're trusting a guy that they've known for a long time in Jarran Reed. They're bringing him back on a 2-year, $9 million deal. Again, a cap hit that's only a couple of million this year. Interesting one, this. Because obviously we noticed he was a free agent. I don't think anyone asked for this. I don't mean that to sound sort of disrespectful to Jarran Reed. We know what Jarran Reed can do at his best. That 10.5 sack season in 2018, had a 6.5 sack season in his final season in 2020 with the Seahawks. But it is a strange one. But then they've kind of pretty much axed every single person that was responsible for that interior of the defensive line last year. When you think about Poona Ford still being an unrestricted free agent at this moment in time, Al Woods being let go, potentially, you can bring him back maybe, but at this moment in time, he's no longer a part of the team. Not really sure what's happening with Brian Monet at this point. Again, another guy who suffered quite a lot of injuries. Is he in your plans? So Miles Adams as well, though, but he's not really a starter. But anyway, they have made quite wholesale changes across that interior of the defensive line, and it feels like they've found someone that they know, okay, isn't maybe an elite, interior defensive tackle, but he's going to be someone you can rely on a little bit. He's going to be a proven commodity. There's nothing special,
Knows the organisation, knows the staff, knows the system. I think it's a matter of, obviously they had the fallout. He went off. He went to the Chiefs, didn't he? And ended up at Green Bay.
Yeah.
And I think he's just realised the grass isn't greener. Then when we contacted him saying, "How do you fancy coming in?" Because the last season there was talks about playing Poona Ford out of position because they see him, I think, more as a nose. And then you've got Jarran Reed. You could quite happily put him at nose, or just leave him on the end. But yeah, I like this. I think bringing him back after he's had a bit of time out in the wilderness. He's obviously gone to like Wisconsin and gone, fucking hell, that place is shit.
Yeah,
get me back to Seattle. And he's come back. I think he'll do well in this new system, especially with the support around him, because he's not going to be the one man show. It's going to be sort of him. You've got Draymond Jones, Poona maybe if he comes back, possibly Al Woods. It's just going to be. I'm just looking forward to watching the defense for a change.
Yeah.
As opposed to last year where we watched it and just thought, oh my God, we're crumbling like a stale biscuit.
Yeah. So, again, it's not going to be anything that's amazingly special, but just a nice, safe guy to add to that interior defensive line. And again, another bit of not really much of a hedge pick, I suppose, but just a little bit of insurance policy that, and with the amount of wholesale changes that we have made, we do need to start getting these guys back in, because otherwise, Blitz, the Seahawks, will be playing as nose tackle for the Seahawks next season. So we've got to find some people to fill the pads. But yeah, Jarran Reed is a decent enough option. Again, coming towards those twilight years of his career now a little bit. So yeah, Interesting one. I'll be very interested to see how Jeremy does get on and see if we can get the best out of him again. Let's get to a guy
The
that is who?
The hose.
The hose. Is this your nickname for him?
Drew Lock.
Oh God, no! I didn't even want to get into Drew Lock tonight.
Let's gloss over it really quick. We've brought him in on a cheap deal. He knows the system. The Seahawks really, really like him. John Schneider says he has a hose of an arm. That's why I called him the hose. And he's going to back up Geno again. But then if Geno goes down with Lock, you've got that potential to win, knowing the system, or you've got the potential that he's going to throw you 3 picks and look like an absolute tool. Still, not the worst backup. We could have Sean Mannion as our backup. Jesus. So I'm happy with that. That'll do. 4 mil, bosh.
Yeah, solid. Again, I think to be fair to him, I think he was a really good back. I think he played the backup role really well last year. Took it in his stride. Didn't complain about it. So yeah, I think Drew Lock's just about as good a backup quarterback as you can maybe hope to realistically get in the NFL, in the sense that he has won games in the NFL as a young quarterback. Winning. You don't win in Arrowhead against the Chiefs with the Broncos if you're nobody at quarterback. So he does have some ability for all that he turns the ball over. So yeah, he's fair play, a nice organisational guy.
He'll do.
He will do. We'll have you, Drew.
Yeah.
No, the guy that I was going to talk about was Evan Brown, the guard.
One of my favourite off-season moves. This my favourite free agent.
Why did I predict it would be, Josh? Why did I predict it would be? He is a guard / centre. I think it's been confirmed by John Schneider that they're looking to play him as a centre at this point. Which, thank the Lord. That all the
or is that smoke and mirrors? Is it smoke and mirrors? So the whole league goes, they're not going to get a centre, and then we go and draft a centre.
If John Schneider has teased me with a centre, then there's not many positions. I never thought I'd be getting stressed over being teased over a centre. But for the lack of centre play over the past few years in this blooming team, I think we've got one now. I think, again, this is the true definition of a hedge signing. That if John Michael Schmitz gets taken from us in the draft, then
it's all about Ricky Stromberg, mate. We want Ricky Stromberg in the 4th round. I'd be well happy with that. 3rd or 4th round.
Ricky Stromberg, was he not a wrestler in the 90s or something? Ricky Stromberg. That is just the most wrestler name. Rowdy Ricky Stromberg. There you are. There's his nickname. Anyway.
There you go. There's a name for our listeners to start to do some research on. Just look at his stats for last year, and they were exceptional.
They were. I don't care who plays centre. I'd take anyone at this point that we haven't already tried. Obviously, I don't want Carl Fuller coming back, even though he's just signed with the Broncos.
Thank God.
Yeah, thank the Lord. Yeah. The angels are weeping. But yes, Evan Brown can play centre, can play guard. He is being listed as a centre at this moment in time. And again, I haven't done this by magic. I'm not some kind of genius, but 9 hours ago, or 2 days ago, it might be. No, only yesterday, on heavy.com, overlooked player revealed as Lions' biggest off-season loss of 2023. That was Evan Brown. He apparently got a 72.4 pass blocking grade as a centre in 2021. So I think the guy is going to be a really... I'm trying to think of guys over the years that have come in as really sort of cheap but underrated signings that have just really filled a need at a solid position. I can't really think of too many off the top of my head at this moment in time, but I'm sure you will be able to all think of those guys that we've just brought in for really cheap. I mean, Al Woods is a good shout, to be fair, on the defensive line. Just one of those guys that you just bring in. Nobody really pays that much attention to it. He's not getting loads of headlines.
He's just solid.
But he's just solid. Yeah, he's just solid, and he's going to elevate this interior of the offensive line. He's going to be an upgrade on what we've had in the past few seasons. So yeah, and like you said, that there's articles out here being a big loss, being a bit of an overlooked loss for the Lions, and now they've got a bit of a problem there. What do they do? Who do they go with? So again, I think it's going to come down to it being a really shrewd pickup and a really nice sort of, again, going into the draft. Okay, fine, relax. We can sit back. We do not need to jump into anything now. If John Michael Schmitz is there, we can take him. If not, okay.
If he's not, we've got someone else.
Go with someone else. Or do you know what? We'll say, yeah, all right, Evan Brown, roll with it. Okay. He's obviously going to be decent enough. They'll bank on him. So again, just a really really smart business decision, a really smart signing. That I have no complaints with. I'm trying to find the details of his deal as I'm doing it right now. 1 year, 2.25. So it's nothing. It's nothing. 1 year, 2 million. It's absolutely
Base
nothing.
salary of 1,740,000
There
with
you
a
go.
signing bonus of 1,250,000.
Nothing. Absolutely nothing for a guy who's potentially going to be. He's still only 26.
Yeah,
So he
this is a
plays well this
taster.
season.
If he does well, he's back.
Extend him. It again just makes way too much sense. So yeah,
Oh,
really happy with that.
tell a lie. That I was actually looking at Devin Bush for that contract.
Oh,
So my apologies. Sorry, I'm excited about talking about Devin Bush.
well, let's get to him then.
Said no one ever. But then again, Evan Brown's is around about the same. Base
Yeah,
salary 1.25, signing of $1 million, cap
it's a
hit
it's
2.25.
it's a Fredo bar, mate. It's absolutely nothing. But let's get on to Devin Bush because this is a really, really intriguing one. Um, Again, just 24 years old, such a highly touted prospect coming out of the draft in 2019. Yeah, 2019, I
Yeah,
think he was
out of
drafted
Michigan.
out of Michigan, 10th overall. This guy was just electric in college. All kinds of awards and players of the year and Big Ten player of the year and everything like this. And then goes to the Pittsburgh Steelers thinking, yeah, oh, good. That's a great place for him to land. Really good. They love their defense there. They love the linebackers. Yeah, he's going to work right there. And it hasn't really worked out to sort of Pittsburgh fans' imaginations when they drafted Devin Bush. They're thinking Pro Bowl, All Pro linebacker. He hasn't played to that level. He has in flashes, I would say, from what I know about him, but it's injuries have a little bit curtailed him.
ACL, wasn't it?
He had a big ACL injury, yeah. And I just think again maybe they didn't really know sort of how to use him. Where is his best position? Is he an inside linebacker? Is he an outside linebacker? But a lot of the time you aren't going to know that with a guy who's in his early 20s. And now he's still only 24 as a member of the Seahawks. And it's like we'd said at the start of this podcast when we talked about Bobby Wagner, Devin Bush coming in here feels like he needs a change of scenery, some new fresh ideas, some hopefully maybe some better coaching, better standard of coaching, maybe fresh eyes on his career and his abilities and saying, have they been playing you here? Well, we think you're better here, so we're going to play you here. Oh, I agree with that. I think I'm better in the inside. Whatever. It might just click. And to put him next to a guy like Bobby Wagner, which he hasn't
It's
really
just going to
had.
elevate him.
He hasn't had that in his career. I think he was asked to be the main man really from day one in Pittsburgh, and maybe he wasn't quite ready for that. Maybe his abilities hadn't quite sort of, overlapped into the NFL game from the college game quickly enough to be the number one guy. But we're not going to ask him to be that in Seattle. And I think even up until the last season, really, I think Pittsburgh still were quietly asking him to be the main guy in terms of the linebackers. And maybe he's just not quite good enough to be that. But maybe if you ask him, say, do you know what, pressure off, Devin Bush, we're going to take the spotlight out of you, take you away from the organization that, put all this investment into you, that number 10 pick. You don't have to come here with that weight of expectation of a number 10 pick. That was in Pittsburgh.
Just go out and play.
Yeah, we don't have that expectation here. We just think, yeah, okay, you must be a decent enough player. Just go and play. Go and be the number 2 linebacker and see what we can do. And
it's a big thing for sports people. Like if you put so much pressure on a sports person, so there's a reason why. So at any sport, people will always look within a team and go, "Oh my God, he's our best player or she's our best player. Why are they not our captain?" And sometimes, like you said, it's the weight of expectation. It's the added pressure on someone because you could be the best player in the world. Like, so I'll use a rugby reference. Johnny Wilkinson was at one point one of the best players in the world, but by his own admittance, he could not deal with the pressure of being a captain because he just wanted to focus on his game. Mm-hmm. And that's the exact same sort of principle here. If Devin Bush, after being the main man, in inverted commas, at Pittsburgh, crumbled under that, and then we bring him here and go, don't worry about that. We've got Bobby. Bobby will play all the call. He'll call all the plays on the field. All you've got to do is your role. Do your job. And if he excels at that, more power to him. I'm quite excited about this one. I think it's going to be decent.
Yeah, and again, look, a 1-year deal. I think it's worth just about $3.5 million. So his cap hit is going to be about that as well. It's nothing for a 24-year-old guy. Put it this way, coming out of the draft in 2019, if someone said to you, oh, by the way, in 4 years' time, at the end of this guy's rookie contract, he's going to be signing with the Seahawks for 1 year, $3.5 million, everyone would have thought, are you mad? This is Devin Bush. Yeah, this is Devin Bush. This is an all-pro. Like, what are you talking about? So there's absolutely no questions about this guy's ability and what he can do. I just think maybe he was put into a situation that he didn't want to be in, or not maybe want to be, wasn't quite ready to be in. Now
it didn't suit him. Yeah,
it didn't suit him. Now that's completely different. It's the complete opposite now, and we can just ask Devin Bush to go out with no responsibility really and just play. And I think that's how you get the best out of someone like this coming here. And again, I think the system, the sort of will suit him. The kind of defense that we run here with his skill set. We love a good fast linebacker, sideline to sideline, and that is Devin Bush. And I think they've looking at what the state of the team is, looking at Jordan Brooks. You know, he is the sideline to sideline guy. He has this big injury. Is there anyone out there on that linebacker market that we don't want to spend too much money on? Because obviously then I think they quietly knew that they were always going to have a good chance of Bobby coming back. So we don't want to go out and get a Bud Dupree or a Terrell Edmonds or whatever. We want someone solid enough to come in who's got that certain skill set, that sideline to sideline that we can replace with for Jordan Brooks. Devin Bush, perfect, and a perfect example of the guy that you would bring in. And I just think, looking back through this list, everyone is just the perfect, ideal kind of situation. It's just everything. I look at every single name, and again, I started the podcast with the quote that it just makes too much sense. You can go through the 5 guys that we brought in and apply that same quote that it just makes too much sense with to each and every one of these guys, and that alone tells you that we've killed it.
There's literally no head scratcher, is there? You're not looking at who signed and gone, why are they on our team? Like when we re-signed Kyle Fuller, we were just like, we know he's shit. Why have we re-signed him? Now he's Denver's problem.
Yeah.
You know, same as Tony Jones Jr. Thank God he's Denver's problem because
LJ Collier
to the Cardinals. See you later, mate.
In a bit.
Well, this is it. Like we've managed to jettison some ineffective players. I mean, Kyle Fuller, perennial backup when he did start, it was crap. You know, we've got a wasted top pick on LJ Collier, who's now gone to Arizona on a 1-year deal, which he might not see that much of the field. They're just trying to find someone who can fill that edge gap that's been left by JJ Watt. I can tell you now, they haven't got the solution there. Then Tony Jones, who is about as much use as a fishnet condom, so he's gone. So you like that, didn't you, James?
Maybe isn't the correct word, but yes.
He's gone to Denver, so he's going to do nothing. Jonathan Abram has gone to New Orleans just to back up. So he's going to back up Tyrann Mathieu with his giant pads. But yeah, I mean, apart from that, I mean, we've lost a few. I mean, look, our running back room's looking pretty sparse at the moment.
Yeah, I was going to say that the only one that really hurts here is Rashard Penny because of that wasted potential and ability. But, like, it doesn't. I'm not annoyed that we have released that because it makes sense when you have, you know, your guy. We have Ken now. Put all your eggs in the Ken basket. He's RB1, easy future. I get that. We just need a nice complement to Ken.
We're double dipping. Yeah, 100% double dipping on running back because I mean we've literally got Ken and DJ Dallas. We all love DJ on this pod. I think he's improved. Pez says it every year. He's got better. He's either put on more size or he's learnt the game more. So this year he might be able to fill up competently as a backup. But then you look, we've lost one of the best blocking running backs in the league in Travis Homer. Another need we need to fill there. We've lost Tony Jones. And then we've also lost Rashard Penny. Now, Rashard Penny's come out saying he needed a different situation. Basically, you probably just need a different athletic trainer to try and fix him quicker. That's my main source of agitation at the moment, I'd say, is that running back room. Because if K9 goes down, I'm like, I can't see anyone else. But
then for me, I think it's easily fixed. I think they'll fix that in the draft. There's so many, this running back class, there seems to be all the year, but like this one, there's so many good names that we will be able to get in the 3rd, 4th round, like a Ty J. Spears, like a Zach Charbonnet, who, by the way, Zach Charbonnet is my one that I would really look at. We're not going to go get we're not going to go back to back and take another top one like a Bijan or whoever, or Jameer Gibbs or
Could
whatever.
you imagine? Could you imagine that?
It'd be unbelievable, but it makes no sense from a business
Seahawks
perspective.
Twitter sphere would implode.
Oh, it would implode, yeah. And I would be here for it. But yeah, I think they will just pick up a nice little Zach Charbonnet, a nice little Tyjae Spears, whoever in the third, fourth, fifth round, whatever, and they may even take 2 running backs in the. I wouldn't be surprised.
I think we're going to double dip. I think we'll have a 4 running back room because Pete wants to run the rock, and he can't risk having only 3 because it's another injury away from you only having 1 running back. So.
And we have 10 picks before any trade backs as well. It's not like, we'd be really wasting one, like, oh, we've got a limited amount of picks, we can't afford to wait. We've got a boatload of picks. If there's another running back prospect, you're like, go and take him. Why not?
Exactly.
Go and take him.
Just, throw shit at the wall, see if it sticks. I mean, there's so many out there that have had some fantastic college seasons last year. And if we think that they could benefit us as a team, I am all for it. I've got a few on my big board, which I constantly bring out, but we'll discuss these in the draft pod.
We will.
But yeah, I think we're going to double dip there. That was my 1 point of frustration when it came to free agency. We let so many running backs go.
Yeah, I don't think this will take very long. But before we get to the guys that we have either cut or are still available, let's give a quick grade to each one of these 5. I don't think this is going to take very long. Draymond Jones, what are you giving that? I'll give it an A. I won't go A+. I'll give it an A. Because it is a lot of money, but I'll give it an A. Julian Love?
B+.
I'll give that one an A-.
See, I've gone B+ because I'm not sure what's going to happen if Jamal comes back.
That is the only sticking point. And then, of course, Ryan Neal as well.
Exactly.
So there's a lot there's some question marks there. But I think in terms of the player, I mean, he's A-. Jaron Reed?
B.
I'll give it a B-.
I think we're going to take another at least 1 more D lineman in the draft.
Oh, easy. Get that. There's another position that I think we'll double dip at. Really. I'll give it a B-. I don't mind Jaron Reed. Decent character. Bobby Wagner.
To quote Varsity Blues, A, fucking A.
You're not giving it an A+.
Yeah. All right, A+.
A+. Come on, A+, man. Yep. The Hall of Famer is back. Do we have to give Drew Lock?
Drew Lock, B. Solid backup. He's got starter experience. He can throw a rock. He knows the system. He knows the guys. B.
Can I give it a DC for don't care? Just a.
It just got NA, not applicable.
Can I give him 2 grades? Devin Bush.
B- because he's literally there. Like you said, he has the exact same attributes as Jordan Brooks, and he's there to fill that hole whilst Jordan's recuperating.
I'm going to give this one an A. I'm going to give it a bit. I really am, because it's such a low risk, high reward that okay, it doesn't, 1 year, 3.5. It's 1 year, $3.5 million for Devin Bush. If it doesn't work, it's nothing. Okay, move on.
Nothing lost.
All right. Maybe his career isn't going to go the way we all think it was, but if it does, you've just got Devin Bush for 1 year, 3.5.
Right. B+. You've convinced me. B+.
Oh, I couldn't even get you to the A. Never mind. Evan Brown.
That is an A.
I'll give it an A.
Covering centre or guard. So depending on who or what we draft, he can slide across, and he's going to offer experience at centre and guard, which he can then give to the younger players as well to help bring them up. It's an A. I think for the fact that we've managed to get 2 players in this free agency that the teams they've come from have said that they're their biggest losses. Yeah, I'm more than happy with that, and I'm just looking forward to seeing some solid centre play. Oh,
fingers crossed. Touch wood.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
But before we get to the guys who we've cut and are potentially still out there available, we've got a new sponsor, haven't we, Josh?
We have. So we have. Me especially, but we as a pod are passionate about sort of offering the best possible value, which is why we give you long pods. But we have switched up from our previous sponsor to Strong Life CBD. So Strong Life, you can find them at stronglife.co.uk. Now, Strong Life, I have bought some Strong Life product, and that's what made me contact them. A, it's cheaper. B, it's stronger. C, you get more of it. So for the price of, I think it's £45, £44.99, the bottle you get is near enough double, if not triple, the previous sponsors. It's been fantastic for me. So 4,800 milligrams is what I'm using, £44.99. Now, when you get to checkout, if you use the code WeTalkSeahawks10 at checkout, you get 10% off as well. Also, if you follow us on our socials, Instagram especially, there will be links popped on our story there. We'd love to hear from you guys to see exactly how it helps you as well. But yeah, big shout out to Strong Life. You'll probably see them all over TikTok at the moment because they are reigning supreme when it comes to some of their sponsorship and their content. So yeah, big up Strong Life. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you very much. We're looking forward to working with you guys. And yeah, if that is something that would interest you, then please do go ahead and use our link, save you a bit of money, help us out as well. It's all good around here. Right, let's get to some of these guys that we have cut and are still on the market. I think the main one here is probably Shelby Harris. Again, interesting one. The Seahawks have come out and said, sort of obviously non-officially, but I think that the consensus is at this moment in time that they would be open to bringing back Shelby Harris on a more team-friendly deal. We've seen this happen in the past with other players. It is quite a common practice, obviously, if he doesn't get the market that he thinks he might get. You bring him in as a cheaper deal. Yeah, interesting. I didn't think it would happen. I could understand, I think he saved us about 8 million or something.
Yeah, it was pure cap hit implications.
Yeah.
I mean, he was a locker room guy. The people loved him. He loves Seattle. He has said it on videos, all over social media. He loves being here, or being there even. And I think that is invaluable when you get someone who actually enjoys being in an organization. But we have to remember that it's still a business, and I think these guys know this as well. 8 million is a big chunk of cap to swallow this year when you've got so many other areas of need. So it had to happen. Unfortunately, he got cut, but I'm hoping that they are having conversations with him because I love Shelby Harris. I fell in love with him after that first game against Denver, and his interview at the end was brilliant.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'd bring him back.
Yeah, I think potentially a little bit underrated in terms of when you actually go. I think PFF had him as the 17th best defensive tackle in 2022. So not quite elite, but he's certainly above average. He's certainly a good player. We know he's a good player. Look, he's been a good player throughout his career. He's always consistently produced. So yeah, I would like to see Shelby come back. He isn't that nose tackle replacement that we need at that depth, but you can't argue with the sort of, like we said in this podcast, at this moment in time prior to the draft, the depth isn't there in the interior. And yes, I understand they're trying to cull everyone that was responsible for that interior, the defensive line, but I can't really hold Shelby Harris to account.
No, because he was good.
Yeah, he was good. Like he was probably one of the best ones on that sort of interior. He is an interior. He isn't an interior, but he's sort of a bit of both. But yeah, you class him as an interior. But I think he was the best out of those guys, and then probably Al Woods, and then back through the rest. But I think there's no. It speaks volumes for me as we come on to Poona Ford as well, that I think they've quite openly said, yeah, we'd bring back Shelby Harris. Yeah, we'd bring back Al Woods. It's been radio silence on Poona Ford. There's been no suggestion that the Seahawks would potentially be interested in him coming back. So I think that says maybe that they're holding him more account. Look, we've said throughout the podcast that Poona blows so hot.
He didn't have the best season last season, did he? I mean, he just looked out of place. Pete, like I said earlier, Pete has stated that they played him out of position. I think they see him more as that nose because he's got a really thick base, and he's slightly shorter. But I think he's, yeah. I mean, to be honest, we're talking about bringing them all back, but then we have to just remember that they got absolutely shredded.
Yeah.
On the run last year, and I don't think that it's, if something's that broken, you're not going to fix it by bringing back the exact same players. I think people like Shelby Harris would be great in a rotation because he does a job. Al Woods, I think the blue-eyed boy himself has just, I think he's had a bit of a resurgence with us, and he's been one of our most consistent defenders. but he can't do it all by himself, and that's the big thing. I'd be up for bringing both of those back. I think Puna, he's too hot and cold. He's the inconsistency, and anyone that listens to this pod knows that I preach consistency. And I can't be dealing with going Puna Ford had a great game one week, and then saying nothing about him for 4 or 5 weeks, and then saying, "Oh, I had a good game again this week." It just it does my head in.
So frustrating. And I think it's potentially maybe telling of the Seahawks maybe want to look to the future in terms of the long-term future at that position, because when you think of the ages, I mean, Quentin Jefferson's 29 is another one that's sort of an unrestricted free agent at this moment in time. Q Jeff, great click game, but not amazing. Al Woods 36, Shelby Harris 31. I mean, Puna's only 27, but he's still he's not right in the. You wouldn't call him a young player at this moment in time. So I think with the draft capital that we've got, with some good depth again in an interior defensive line, I think it's become better. I think at the start of this kind of draft season, before the combine, I think everyone was kind of like, it's Jalen Carter and then nothing behind in the interior defensive class. And now I think you're starting to see names like Mazzy Smith coming into it. Brian Brzee, we know, can play as a defensive tackle. I think it's a little bit deeper than maybe some people thought. Certainly in those first 2 or 3 rounds, maybe not back into the 4th, 5th, 6th, whatever. But I think there's some blue chip guys that they could potentially pick up and look to the future with. Maybe there's that a consideration as well.
I think that's it. I mean, it's a matter of the Jalen Carter thing, in my opinion, just blew up out of proportion. Because it's all well and good. He's another one, inconsistent as you like. He goes absolutely, the radio silence from him some games, and then other games he's just wrecking it down after down. And I think the further in you look, it's the fact I think he offers everything, and everyone else offers one aspect of his game, but does it really well.
Yeah.
And this is where, apart from Mazzy Smith, who is by all accounts just an absolute mutant.
Yeah.
But like I said, these people are now coming to the fore. Now that all the focus and shine's been taken off Carter, people are able to look at Smith, Brzee, Ika, all these other people. And Ika's is his typical nose. Ika's just is a massive man. You're going to put him at the nose and just try to drive a centre back. But yeah, I think we said this last year. I think we're going to try and get as young as possible now. I think Pete's going to try and try and create his last great dynasty or great team to go ahead and try and win the Super Bowl. And then if that happens, we all know that Pete will be hanging up his Monarchs.
His Air Monarchs, bloody hell, fair play to him. So yeah, I think that's another consideration to maybe keep in mind as well when these moves are happening. I think that they've seen the success of bringing in youth guys and the past rookie class that they've had. That they're going to be so keen to replicate that again. They're going to be so enthused with this, ability to bring through youth, and I think they're going to really want to keep looking to that future, knowing that they are building a really good young team here. Yeah. And that maybe we don't need as many veteran pieces as maybe we thought we needed. Maybe, I don't know. Another one of those then, a veteran piece that we've said goodbye to, Gabe Jackson.
Thank God.
Thank God, that was very quick, and I don't blame you. 31 years old, $6.5 million. He saves us in cap. I think he was just about the worst ranked PFF guard in all of football last season at about
absolute revolving
40.
door. Oh, yeah, absolute revolving door. He was shite. And this is a part of me with him going. I really hope that they move Delu back to right guard, because that's where he was when he was drafted, and he excelled in his rookie season. He's had moving to left guard, I think, hindered him a little bit. But again, it's going to be who we sign or who we draft now, just to see. But yeah, Gabe Jackson, thank God, just go. And then yeah, there's more you're going to mention that I'm just going to be like, bye, laters.
Yeah, there probably is, unfortunately. Artie Burns. I mean,
pointless.
Did he even arrive?
No.
No. Justin Coleman again. Do you know Justin Coleman's only 29?
I know, he seems to have been around for about 2 decades.
I thought he was about 34. Justin Coleman. 29. Fair play to him. I need to find.
It was a hard paper round, mate.
It was a hard paper round, yeah. Tyler Ott is an unrestricted free agent at this moment in time. I think they'll bring him back.
Yeah, did you see his little play thing on Twitter where it was like, oh, my kids were born here. I live
Oh,
here. I'd
bless
love
him.
to come back. I was like, oh my God. Yeah, all right, Tyler, we get it. But
Just one
then
of those.
he's a long snapper. He's a long snapper.
Yeah.
But then that was it. Carson Tinker
Carson Tinker, that little
came,
Tinker, yeah,
came
33.
in last year and was absolutely fine as well. So it's going to be a
Yeah.
matter of, do we take Ott out of loyalty and maybe pay him a little bit more, or do we take Tinker? We also need to look at how much cap space we've got, because there's
My
going to
my view on this is if anyone can be asked to be a long snapper in the NFL, I'd just keep him around. If you can find a guy in your team that can be asked
yeah.
to play a long
Do you want
snapper,
to do it? Yeah, I'll do it. Brilliant. You're
yeah,
here. That's fine. You're
yeah,
here.
just keep
We'll
him
just have a
then
sequel.
fine. Like Waterboy and like just keep him around, part of the furniture. Oh yeah, that's Carson Tinker. He's our long snapper because nobody else can be asked to do it. Just keep him. And now we've got a battle. We've got a free agency battle of the two long snappers. Like
Yeah.
why?
Ooh.
Just pick one. Like Jesus Christ. But yeah. Josh Jones, safety. Yeah.
Eh.
Showed some flashes, but then at other times, I remember him getting absolutely burnt by DeAndre Hopkins, I think it was in the Cardinals game. Yeah, he flattered to deceive a little bit, didn't he? There was a lot of hype at one point surrounding Josh Jones.
He filled in a role and just couldn't produce. So couldn't produce consistently.
Yeah,
That's what I should
and there's
say.
no spot. There's no spot for him now. Julian Love,
No.
like you said, Diggs, Adams, Neil, everyone. Neil, there's no spot at safety. There is. I can comfortably say we're not drafting a safety, folks.
Yeah.
I think I'll go out on a limb on that and say we're not going to draft a safety.
Oh, what about
you know,
JL Skinner? Is Cam Chancellor
like,
2.0?
yeah, maybe, and then or maybe like a Brian Branch, but they're not going to draft him and play. Like you're going to bring him and play him as a cornerback or something. It's not. We're not drafting a safety, folks. You put your money on that. And if you do, and we do draft one, I'm not refunding you. So don't come,
Yeah, we're not responsible for your crap
Yeah,
betting.
I'll tentatively put that out there as well. Say. Wow, I didn't realise that was his first name. Jalen Tabor.
Tabor.
Yeah, I thought it was Tease Tabor. Yeah, never mind. Okay.
Yeah, crap.
Tabor. Again, I think I can remember him making some special teams appearances.
Bye, Felicia. He's nah.
Yeah, again, just a non-entity really. Cullen Gillespie is a pub quiz answer somewhere because I've never. Again, sounds like something out of a Gulliver's Travels film. Yeah. Sounds like something out of Harry Potter or something like that. But I'm not sure that he's an NFL player. Oh yeah, Penny Hart. Oh, the Wi-Fi connection.
Oh, yeah, mate,
Penny
he's
Hart.
growing up in Denver. That's it. Pezzle. With his connection with Russ, he's obviously off to Denver.
They're going to be trading Judy and Hamler and potentially Sutton as well, aren't they? If
they're going to need one, aren't they?
They might need Penny Hart.
I'm living for that. I'm living for all the discourse that's currently around the Denver Broncos. Sean Payton's come in thinking he's going to New Brush sweeps clean. New Brush is going to be sweeping a lot of people out of the building. He's going to really piss off Russ because he's taking away his parking spaces, his office, everything. And I am here for it. I cannot wait to read about it.
Oh, I think Draymond Jones said he's been talking about it when he's come here that it wasn't right in Denver. There's something not right going on there, and that he just wants to come where he's loved and appreciated. And you can just tell that something. Bring in Sean Payton if you want, and piss away another 2 first-round picks or whatever they pissed away for him. A great coach can't. I don't care how good he is, and I don't think he's that great that he can turn around that. Because that franchise and that locker room just seems completely lost.
Dumpster fire. I love how people are going, they've now got one of the, is it the Walmart, the people who own Walmart own them. They're like one of the richest clubs in the NFL. I'm like, there's still a thing called the salary cap. So you could have trillions of dollars, but you can only pay people a certain amount. So it doesn't matter how rich you are and who owns you. You've got to work within a certain frame. And if people don't want to be there, it doesn't matter how much money you're going to chuck at one player, you're going to cripple the rest of your franchise.
Yeah. It's like some guys just rode up to the Titanic on a lifeboat with a bucket saying, "I'm here to help." Never mind. Do you know what I mean? It's past the point of recovery now. At least you tried, though. Tanner Muse.
I could foresee us possibly bringing him back. Yeah. Just as sort of a bit of a depth player.
Yeah. Special teams. He got some
Exactly.
snaps at linebacker, and I think he was a second round pick, wasn't he, Tanner Muse, or a third round? He was quite highly drafted. So and only 26, and I can't remember it. I think he came up with like a fumble recovery maybe last year on special teams or something like that. He did something notable on special teams, which I know we prize so highly in Seattle. So maybe they might bring him back as a bit of a special teams captain. They lost Ben Burkervin as well. He's gone now, isn't he? So maybe they need someone to maybe fill that spot. So yeah,
I mean, fair play. Like BBK, we kept him around because of his injury and whatnot, and we helped rehab him and everything. But I don't think anyone's really going to take the risk on him. Purely, yeah, that's it. Purely because there is that inherent risk now with him, where he's had that like huge injury. He's had to rehab it for a whole season. People can be looking at that going, "Oh, is it worth it?" I mean, it's a shame because I loved BBK. I thought he was a great tackler, just a really good football head on him. But again, you can't sort of live off that.
Yeah.
Especially with the injuries.
And that's about it, really. In terms of the guys that are worth.
Oh, don't forget Daryl Johnson, the man who played. Was it the first game played against the Broncos? And everyone was like, "Oh my God, have we found someone here? Is this a diamond in the rough?" And then we never heard from him again.
No, again, could be on the WWE SmackDown bill next week for all I know. I don't know what my obsession with WWE is.
I was going to say you've got a thing going on here.
I know. I don't even like it. But Daryl Johnson and who was the other one? Rowdy Rodney. Fucking who did I call him? I can't even remember who it was.
Now. Ricky Stromberg.
Ricky Stromberg. Yeah.
This is it. This is why, like, when James turns his camera around on his laptop, ladies and gents, he's actually got a wall of like Triple H, The Rock, the Dudley. But I'm just naming people from like the end of the era when I started watching.
You have, to be fair.
Well, nothing wrong with wrestling when I was younger.
Yeah. Hey, I went to the SmackDown in about 2006 in Newcastle when Rey Mysterio was there, The Undertaker was there, everything. Oh, at the time,
we're not a wrestling podcast. Let's move off that. But yeah,
I think we all thought we might have to be at the start of last season, and now we're not because we can still play football in Seattle. Oh, another name I do want to mention, Godwin Igwebuike, because Pez will kill me if I don't mention Godwin Igwebuike. I'll level with you. I don't quite understand all these terminologies with these tendered free. Like I don't get all of it. But he's an exclusive rights free agent who hasn't been tendered. Can you clear that up, Josh? Because I understand it to a certain degree.
I know when they're tendered, isn't it, where they can go out to free agency and we have sort of first refusal. So if he gets offered a load of money from someone, we have the first chance of matching it in order to re-sign him.
Yes, and I think we'll match any offer. I thought it was going to be a massive
return. But he was brilliant.
Oh, he was brilliant. He was Devin Hester 2.0. I mean, he was he's the best kick returner I've seen. Well, since Devin Hester played for the Seahawks in that. Remember, he joined for that one game in the postseason in when was it, like 2017 or 2016 or something. He nearly took one for a touchdown, didn't he? Or did he take one for? I can't even remember now. But God,
what a way to make a living. What do you do? I catch high balls and run it back. Cool. Anything else? Don't need to, mate.
No, don't really need to. But no, to be fair to him, I was really impressed with every kick return really from Godwin, and I think the Seahawks will keep him around. John Rattigan is another one on there. Hall of Fame. Johnny Rattigan.
Hall of Famer.
Yeah, he has been tendered. He's an exclusive rights free agent. I think they'll keep him around for special teams wise. I think they've like Ben Burkervin, they've waited for him this long in terms of his injury. I don't see any reason why now that he is back healthy again, or now we'll get rid of him. Let's at least see some of him if he is healthy.
He's probably hoping he gets re-signed, so otherwise he's got to go and do military service.
Yeah, he does. It's not a great time to be doing that, is it? Dear me. So yeah, but that about wraps it up for the guys that in this free agency pod that are worth mentioning.
We mentioned Goodwin. So good luck in Cleveland, my friend.
Oh yeah, Marquise Goodwin. Yeah.
Fair play. I thought it was good. And he's gone to get one last payday with the Browns.
Travis Homer as well. Quick mention, signing with the Chicago Bears, 2 year, $4 million.
He's just going to be stood there blocking Justin Fields.
Yeah,
That's
really
all
good
he's doing.
blocker, but
he's never going to run the ball. He's just going to be blocking like pass rushes for Justin Fields to stop him getting sacked so many times.
And that's the thing. That's why that's the weird thing with Travis Homer was the one thing that he was really good at is why I didn't want to see him on the field, because you knew as soon as Travis Homer was on the field, the other team went, right, it's a pass then.
Yeah.
He was such a double-edged sword that he was excellent at pass protection, but we just gave our hand away every time we trotted him out onto the pitch. So
with the Bears, it's not going to be the case because Fields will take it with his legs, won't he? So it's like, it's a pass play, and Fields will spot that little gap and he'll go. He'll be like, cheers for stopping that rusher, I'm off.
Yeah, watch him be able to find gaps in Chicago now and not run into teammates as asses. Yeah. Anyway, sorry, that's Chicago. But yeah, that about sums it up. The main message being tonight that, of course, the King is back. That was the focus of the podcast. But we hope you've enjoyed our run through our entire first wave of free agents. Of course, if we dip into the second wave and the third wave, as I'm sure that we will, closer to the draft and after the draft, we will be back to see if we make any more splashes in free agency. But yeah, other than that, we've got some good stuff coming your way soon. We're still going to do our quiz. We've got a little awards night thing coming up. We've got a little bit of a double header recording that we're going to be doing next week. So we're going to fire away some content at you over the next few weeks. And then it's all steam, all engines forward to the draft for the next few weeks.
So anyone who listens, if you're not in the Discord, please check out our Twitter. I'll try to put stuff on our Instagram as well, but it's a pinned tweet there. You can join the Discord. We've got some fantastic conversations going, but we're having a talk about doing sort of a draft night party just to do the first round, and we can all get together and have a good chat and a beer or anything.
Oh yeah, we've got a load of good stuff coming. Obviously, Pez will be back next week as well.
Pez as well.
Yeah, it should be positive. If we can't get positive Pez after Bobby Wagner and all that stuff's come back, I don't know when we will get him. So yeah, looking forward to Pez in a good mood next week. And yeah, I hope you all are too. And as again, thank you all for listening. As always, we love yous all. Stay tuned. Go ahead and use our new sponsorship if you feel like it. If that'll suit you, John, we'll help you out as well, and it will help us out too. But yeah, you can join our Discord. As always, got some really good chats going on in our Discord recently. You can find that on our pinned section of our Twitter, our pinned tweets. Very simple. Just join it, hit the link, join it. You're in 2 seconds, and you can chat with me, Josh, and Pez, and a load of other like-minded Seahawks fans from around the world. Really good chat that's going to only heat up as well in the coming weeks. Of course, you can follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, anywhere you get your social media, we will be on there.
We are on TikTok as well.
Yeah, TikTok as well, with Josh being killing it on the TikTok. So yeah, it's all good. Anywhere you want to find us, we're there for you. And of course, stay tuned to wherever you get your podcast, because we've got a load of content coming your way soon. But for now, from me, go Hawks, man.
Go Hawks.